Welcome back to DissedMedia, a startup story, the podcast where I take you along our journey of starting DissedMedia from the ground up. You get to hear all about our challenges and accomplishments as we either grow DissedMedia or go bust. Either way, you're going to have a front row seat to hear it all. And along the way, we're going to have some special guests who share with us their wisdom and insights and what helped them along their startup journey to success. So get ready as we get into it and try to help those get better at what they do. Welcome back, everybody, to DissedMedia, a startup story, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of starting a business from the ground up. And we have been on a roll here. We've been each week having new guests, new people with amazing insight, amazing information that they bring to the things that they do. And this week, we just keep notching it up week after week. This week, we've got someone who is an incredible entrepreneur, an incredible show starter, somebody who has built their own business, who has worked for other businesses, has a background of experience in the military where they've honed their discipline and gotten into the real practical nature of getting things done. And following that experience, came out of that to start their own company at a time when probably wasn't the best time to start a company, during recessions, during some downturns, but was able to make something of it and grow those companies into something that is thriving. Our guest today has worked their way up into a position of influence, somebody who helps coach, mentor, develop leaders and companies to get the best out of themselves and of their people. And some of you people have probably heard about people like Simon Sinek, about Jack Welch. This gentleman who we have here today, somebody who ranks high amongst them as one of the most influential business leaders, as ranked by Inc. magazine. I would like to welcome a very special guest to the show today, Mr. Chris Hallberg. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Ben. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to share some of your wisdom and insight with us here. We were getting to know a little bit before we got rolling today. And one of the things, I purposely didn't get into this yet, because one of the things I like to do, everybody comes from somewhere. I like to say there are no self-made people. Like, we're all made from a collection of people that we've gotten to know, people who have helped us, coached us, mentored us, and developed us to get to where we are. I'm very curious to know, where did Chris start from? What were your humble beginnings? What got you to what you are doing today?
Wow, that's a powerful question, Ben. Let me see here. I knew at a very young age that whatever I was going to do was going to be in communications. I spent the majority of my schooling in the hallway, not to disrupt the rest of the students in the class. My teacher in third grade famously said, "Hey, Chris, no one's going to pay you to talk all day. We just need you to be quiet and sit over there." And that wasn't my style. So I spent a lot of time in the hallway because I was a very social creature, loved to connect people, natural born leader, not shy, super extroverted, big personality. It's a blessing and a curse, I assure you. So it didn't matter what I did. I always found myself clawing my way towards the front and really enjoyed the challenge of leadership and motivating other people and helping other people. And that always gave me a lot of joy all the way throughout my school career. Joined the Army, National Guard, Military Police a couple of weeks after high school graduation. Or in fact, I joined, I think, in my junior year on my 17th birthday, which is the very first day one could join such a thing. And that was like getting your driver's license on your 16th birthday.
That's something you really wanted to do.
Yeah, well, Boy Scouts just wasn't cutting it. I'd already did what I could. I got to Life Scout, didn't make it to Eagle because I think that was the same years as cars and girls and all the different fumes that are out there, perfumes, car fumes. That's the Boy Scout joke anyways, but really enjoyed my time in service, got into leadership quite quickly, and spent 9 years leading soldiers in dynamic environments in Europe, in Central America and other places, and really enjoyed that experience. Got out of all my uniforms, my full-time At 20 years old, I was a corrections officer at a maximum security prison, 5 stories underground. Interesting place to be, but 9 years and all my uniforms, 1999, it was time to join the civilian world. It was an amazing experience. Wouldn't trade it for anything. Learned a lot of great things about leadership and a lot of, hey, never do this as a leader, because I was the recipient of some not so great leadership. And I think we learn a lot from both of those scenarios. And then got into sales management, sales executive, then ultimately became a business owner. As you alluded to, I sold my last company back in 2011, and I've been coaching other CEOs and their leadership teams since. 2014, I joined EOS Worldwide as an EOS Implementer, and I've been doing that for almost 12 years. It is an amazing tool set that helps people align, synchronize all the different parts of a moving business. So what I believe in, Ben, is a military team building mindset, be a business sergeant. That's my personal branding. And I'm big into personal branding because it allows me to be authentic. People don't hire me to be a Sunday school teacher and tiptoe around the tulips, around their issues. They hire the business sergeant to come in here and get everybody pointed in the same direction, fired up and ready to execute the mission. Anybody doesn't want to do that, they go away and we replace it with somebody that really does. And get a right mindset, get a business operating system. And then thirdly, and this is the most recent and something that took quite a bit of effort to build, is an agentic business operating system platform. It's called GoExpand. And we have all the tools to keep your business operating system all in one place, sticky, gluey. And then we add a bunch of people tools that my best teams would all use a certain Frankenstack, different tools lashed together, but they were only using a small percentage of each of them. So the best way to say it is took a melon baller and just carved out the high value parts from 4 or 5 different people apps, and then put those all into one solution, and then added now an AI agentic agent to the business. So we can query any policy, any procedure, brand voice, client likes, sales figures. You can tell the app to do things. The app listens. So if we were in a meeting and we were recording and I made a commitment to you, that commitment would be in my dashboard after the meeting without us having to manually do that. So really getting the mindset, the system, and the glue, and optimizing all 3 of those. So very happy to say that the complete ecosystem is done, and being able to offer people a holistic solution. You really need all 3 of those things, is what I found in my travels. If you got 2 out of those 3, you can do okay. 1 out of those 3, you're going to have issues. None of those 3, you're going to struggle in today's modern environment. So just that's being a fly on the wall to all these world-class businesses over the years. If I had $1 every time, I wish somebody would do this. Why don't we have this? So like any other entrepreneur, you're listening for problems, whether you want to or not. It's a curse. A blessing and a curse, I would say. So basically, I got busy in my off time and really started to build these tools and then get them to work together in a holistic program that's highly effective.
There is so much to unpack there. And I want to take a step back, because as you were explaining all of that, there was a bunch of questions popping into my head. One of the things I thought about first, though, was you mentioned EOS, and seems to be the launching pad for some of these other things that you've developed and refined and improved. For those who are not familiar with EOS, what is EOS? Why did that become the launching pad for some of these other things?
Yeah, it's a simple set of practical tools to help to align and synchronize all the moving parts of your business. So high level, real high, there's 6 key components. I like to joke EOS is like CrossFit for business. If you do these 6 exercises, you're going to look like an action figure, like really good. Those 6 key components are, firstly, the vision component, getting the leadership team, the management team, and ultimately the team 100% on the exact same page of where you're going and exactly how you're going to get there. And then we all opt into that vision or we go somewhere else. It's like a bus. It has a route. Many employees in today's modern age want to treat your bus like their personal Uber, and it just doesn't work like that. So we make this super clear. The good news is we spend a lot of time and effort to create a beautiful vision that the majority of your top people are going to love. All the good ones are like, yes, heck yeah, let's go. Some of the people who are just here might say, ooh, that looks like work. I don't know if I want to do that. So it's very important to create a reality that is singular and have people heck yeah or heck no, not just heck, the middle circle with the flames in it. That's the first thing. The second key component is the people component. And that is putting the right person in the right seat, to coin Jim Collins from his book, Good to Great. And right people share your core values. Culturally, they're just awesome to be around. They value what we value. What's important to us is important to them. And then in the right seat, the reason why ex-military people love EOS is tons of acronyms. So the right person is the core values. The right seats is something we call GWC, or they have to get it, they have to want it, and they have to have the capacity to do it. So if they could be the right person in the wrong seat, they could be the wrong person in the right seat, or they could be the wrong person in the wrong seat. What we're looking for here, Ben, is the right people in the right seat. And once we get over 80, 90% of the people fit that description, most of the problems you're dealing with today actually just evaporate. They're there structurally because the wrong people are there and they're gumming up the machine. So that is a powerful thing to curate a company of the right people in the right seat. Then we go to the data component. How do we know we have the right people in the right seat? So we create a scorecard. Think about weekly activities that bring monthly results. So if we're not getting the monthly result you desire, we just ratchet up the activities or change the activities or give other people the activities until we get into parity with our goal. And then we give people measurables, goals. So when you leave the office on Friday, you can feel great about being a full-fledged team member, carrying your part of the water, the load, and you can feel secure in your contributions. Or if you did half of your work last week, you might want to work on your resume, because we're going to notice that. We're looking at everybody's numbers, and that's an important part of being a great company. When a company's strong in vision, strong in people, strong in data, you become open, honest, lucid. Issues stick out like a sore thumb. That's our fourth key component, the issues component. And we do that by creating issue solving track called IDS, identify, discuss, and solve. And we use that. Most people are good at the D part, discuss, but they're solving the symptoms. So we want to go way down to the root of the issue. And sometimes that's a painful thing to do, but it feels great when we finally solve it at the root, because then it won't grow back ever again. Totally worth it. So we identify, we discuss, talk to the expert, who raised the issue, who gets a high five, thanks for making us better, who you talking to, who owns this issue, everyone else hush, because that consensus management's the worst thing. It hides deficiencies and it disempowers the very expert. So if you're the head of sales, I want the finance person to hush. We're talking about a sales issue. If you need support from finance, ask for it. But if you're not asked an opinion, you don't need to share it. If the salesperson can't solve the sales issues, perhaps they're not the right person in the right seat. And we would never know that if the finance person continues to think professionally for them in meetings. So it's very important. Stay in your lane, watch your own bobber, whatever you want to say there, but the issues component. And then we have issues lists, active issues lists, long-term issues list. Anything over 90 days is considered long-term in the system, meaning that is so next quarter. I'm going to worry about that later. I'm busy working on stuff today. So we do a lot of compartmentalization. And then the fifth key component is the process component. And that's simply documenting the 20% that gives you the 80%. And using the GoExpand application, we're just putting the one-pagers in there, and folks can just ask the company bot questions and then get the perfect answer within about 10 or 15 seconds without disturbing a single soul, which greatly accelerates information. People aren't waiting for things. They're not being disturbed. It's a game changer. So I really highly recommend. You don't need a 40-page process. A one-pager with an outline that says this is what we're looking for is all we need. Let's have a one-pager for literally every possible thing at the company. And it takes a while to fill in those blanks. But once you do, your ability to scale is on another level. Also, your ability to execute with accuracy increases. Then we go to the sixth and final key component, and that's the traction component. Bringing that vision down to the ground, making it reality. And we do that by creating a 90-day world. Humans get a little afraid after 90 days, especially if you do the same thing quarter after quarter. So we pick them up, we dust them off, we pat them on the back, we kick them in the pants, whatever they got going, to directionally put them clear for the next quarter, get an agreement and marshal forward. And then we create rocks, a term coined by the late Dr. Stephen Covey. Rocks are just big priorities, but they're usually strategic initiatives outside of the day-to-day. Once completed, will give you a new capacity, new capabilities. So how do we change the wheels on the moving bus? We do that with rocks. So those are the 6 key components. And to your degree that you can strengthen those, as we get over 80% strong, even up to 90% strong, and all six of those simultaneously, you have a bulletproof business. My clients have won around 200 Best Places to Work awards. And these are not write a check vanity crystal for the paid for trophy case. These are engagement surveys. Everyone at your company gets an anonymous email saying, how is it there? And trust me, if they don't like the coffee, you're going to hear about it on this anonymous survey. So you have to have world-class leadership, management, compensation, engagement, alignment, performance. And to win these awards, you have to be in the upper 80s, mid 90th percentile. So the average company knocking around, even those making money, are about 35, 40%. That's why there's TV shows about The Office, and that stuff's kind of funny, unless you're part of it. So that's just a super high level. These 6 key components, and to degree you strengthen those, the problems disappear and the scale just comes naturally. It's a lot of fun too when you're surrounded by people that actually want to be there.
I love what you said about the fact that when companies hire, they're bringing in people who not only have the credibility, but the credentials, which means that they're good at something. They're experts at something. And what you said about people from other roles weighing in on how they think somebody else should do their job. Been there, done that, seen that so many times. And putting the power back into the person who you hired, that is the person that you said is the one I choose because of their skill, because of their knowledge, because of what they know how to do. So it's great that through this process, you identify that and give them that power, but you also hold them accountable. And that's a big piece of it too. Looking at the data, making sure that people are accountable for the decisions and the actions that they're making, and not being able to escape through what other people deem as finger pointing to other people and pushing the blame around to kind of hide what their shortcomings are.
Yeah.
And on occasion, I've talked about the company that I currently work with in the wine industry. One of the things I love about this company is that we're very small, 25 people, and a very good, successful company. We get a lot of good press about the things that we do, but there's nowhere to hide. And that's one of the things I love about doing the work that we do, is that there is nowhere to hide. You're the one who is in charge of getting what needs to be done. And when you don't, everybody knows it. And when you do, everybody knows it. So there's a lot of accountability when it comes to that. And I love that what you're doing is taking organizations where there are sometimes layers of responsibility and bringing that down and saying, you're the one who's accountable. You're the one who has to drive this thing. Another thing I wanted to ask about, though, was when you look, oftentimes when we see bad results, we change the action, but it doesn't necessarily change the result, because there's a core belief that has been developed that no matter how many times you try to change the action, you're not addressing the belief. You're not addressing that fundamental thing that gets us to where we are. How do you, through EOS, address that belief thing? Aside from, which I heard you say, if you're not on board, you're gone. So that sometimes is a good, fast message to get to people. But how do you, maybe that isn't necessarily the solution a client wants to take, that they want to keep them. There's a value there that they see. How do you engage in that? How do you get people to a better place?
Yeah, so that goes back to like the commitment and the decision to be great. And if we're going to be great, then we have to follow some rules, just like any elite sports team or AP academic class, like there are certain expectations. You have to be good at what you're like, really good at what you do. And if you have people that are world class and then you have people that are neophytes working hand in hand, the world class people don't appreciate that. And the neophyte people are lost. And so like, it's about curating a team, not being inclusive to anyone who wants to be on the team. That's not how it works. You can't, I want to be a professional football player. If I live in Denver, if I went down to the Broncos training camp, which isn't far from my house, and put pads on, I would be paralyzed in about 5 minutes or less. You know what I'm saying? They're 300 pounds and can run 4.40s. Like NFL stands for not for long when you're my weight and height compared to them. So like we talk about structure first and people second in the entrepreneurial operating system. Because if you take a person and then you create a role for them, and then they win the lottery, they get married, they move, people change, there's new chapters of life, it's impossible to backfill a unique person. If every position at the company, we have access to 200 to 2,000 humans in our market that all have skills and we can train for nuance, we can scale the company with very few limitations. So I think the important thing is to really look at what structure do we need to accomplish the mission and who is the best person for each of those seats. And once we land that person because they're the right person, they share our core values. And to your point, they have a screaming good resume. They're hot stuff. There's people with good credentials that are useless in a workforce too. So just because you have the sheepskin doesn't mean anything. I know a lot of really well-educated people that quite frankly can't find their ass with both hands. Just because you got credentials, there's a difference between like take up professors, right? You go to any university and they all have 3 stripes on the robe. They're all PhDs and one professor has a waiting list and 300 kids in their class, and the other one is who you go to if you didn't sign up on time. And it's the same thing in the business world or in the military world or really the sports world or any other world we want to talk about. So again, you can't identify as being the right person in the right seat. You actually have to show up, and that happens through earning people's trust, earning their respect, and having a wake of successful outcomes behind you, not excuses that you cannot take to the bank and deposit. So hopefully I've answered your question, but
you have. I think it comes down to like there are doers and there are people who talk about doing.
Yeah.
and you need to be a doer. You need to create results. And at the end of the day, and something I tell my students all the time, businesses exist for one primary reason, and that's to generate revenue and then turn that revenue into profit. Fundamentally, that's why it exists, because everything else is the benefit of profit. Everything else is the benefit of profit. If you can't get there, then the whole thing goes away. And
if you work at a company that's undercapitalized, under resources, and you're reusing paper cups, like that's not a fun experience. If you're at a company that makes twice the EBITDA of anyone else and has a waiting list to work there, which is an outcome of a couple of years in my program, it's everyone sleeps better. Everyone takes vacations without stress. Think about it. You spend a third of your life sleeping, a third of your life working, and a third of your life making sense with your people, enjoying life, growing. So if you're going to spend a third of your existence somewhere, shouldn't you just pinch yourself? I can't believe I'm on this team. Oh, I don't let the team down. So here's where I'm at versus time to go to the salt mine and drag yourself into wherever you earn your money. And then back to, businesses are here to make money, but they're also here to make an impact and to provide opportunity. I'll add those other two. You're not wrong. The chief reason for a business is profit. You're not wrong. But I think if we look at it as also providing purpose and fulfillment and mission and impact and solving complex problems and not being the smartest person in the room and constantly growing, that's what gets me excited. And this is now we're talking about an elite university, elite sports team, an elite business, not something that you can just walk on and be the smartest person in the room. That's what gets me excited.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And the reason I always bring it back to the revenue and the profit thing is because it's that baseline reminder. That's the first thing that we need to be mindful of. Mm-hmm. And all of the other perks and the benefits and everything else that comes along with it really are because we did the other stuff right.
You're not wrong. It provides. You're not wrong. Without it, it's very difficult. With it, it enables so many other awesome things, including give back, charitable. Like
Yeah.
when you're so profitable, you're able to give 6-7 figures annually to, I recommend supporting nonprofits, somebody on Charity Navigator with an A rating or something like that. There are people that vet these things. And if someone has one of those at the company and says, hey, I have a connection to this charity, or whatever that connection is, it checks out, we should give to the charities from our employees to further their connection and really understand. And if you're in a position to give back in your immediate community, hey, we're making outsized profits, but we're not just carpet bagging those back to our yacht. We're gonna go share some of that and say thank you
Yeah.
for what the community has given us.
I think that what you mentioned there about being purpose driven, I know individually for me, for the past several years, over more than 10 years now, I've had really a focus on doing the work I enjoy doing, working with people I enjoy working with, and not really chasing the title or the money, but really just the feeling, the enjoyment of work. I don't want to feel like I have to go to work. I want to feel like I get to go to work. And that's personally for me how I've built the things that I get myself involved in. For a company, you hope that you're developing that in the people who are working there. And as a manager and a leader, one of the things that I'm a big proponent of is you should be honored that people want to spend their valuable time contributing to your company and what you're doing to build your company into something, and to also be taken care of by the things that they're building with you. When you look at people, when you look at employees as numbers, as just widgets to get more widgets built, it really takes away from what we really hope to build in organizations, which are thriving organizations that do good, that are purposeful, that are meaningful, right? So, yeah, it is revenue and profit, but then there's some great stuff we get to do if we do it all right. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that's the fun stuff.
yeah, when you put yourself in that profit position, you can start to limit the things you're willing to do and the things you won't do. So you
Yeah.
have options. And think about when your company is at a level where you're only doing cool stuff with cool people, meaning cool people, not cool stuff, no. Not cool people, cool stuff, no. Uncool people, uncool stuff, heck no. Just think about this. If you get to say we're going to do really cool things with cool people, cool companies, cool clients, cool employees, that feels great. And that getting to the office isn't a chore. It's something you look forward to. And back to like work-life balance, that term's been kicked around a lot in the last 20 or 30 years. I forget the original speaker on this, so pardon the larceny, but I'm more of a blend guy, work-life blend.
Yeah.
Meaning one isn't like superior to the other. It's just you get to be you. If it's at home or at the office, you can be authentic and you can
Yeah.
be true to yourself. You
I
don't
always
have
say I
to
just have
be
work.
fake.
I always say I just have work life. Like, it's not work life. There's no separate. It's just work life. It's just I am who I am at work. I am who I am at home. It's just it's easier to maintain just one persona for me.
You're blessed to be in that position, right? But I can assure you, Ben, not everybody listening to this is in that position. They might have 2 kids in college and a horrible boss and a product that used to be cool 7 years ago. Insert whatever scenario there. I feel for those folks. You've got commitments. You got to do what you got to do. And that's a thing. As soon as you can find yourself out of that situation, I'm sure you'd appreciate that. But it's not as easy as snapping your fingers.
No, gosh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. No. Like I said, the better part of 10 years is what I've spent building where what I do now. And it's why I enjoy
Yeah.
what I do. And it takes a lot of work to get there. And you have to be willing to turn some things down, even if it meant more money or a bigger title, or you have to sometimes reject the allure of things that are just going to make life miserable for you ultimately.
You're a overnight success, Ben, 10, 20 years into this. Congratulations. I think that is the truth. And then back to shiny stuff or things that aren't in your focus. We could do that, but should we? Probably not, because Jim Collins, again, to quote him, famously said years ago, companies don't die from starvation. They usually die from indigestion by trying to eat too many things at once.
Yeah.
I think understanding like what the world wants, what you're good at, what you can produce, what you do well. I think those four intersecting, Venn diagrams, what's in the middle. If you get to do that all day, let's go, game on. Yeah.
As you were doing EOS, as you were implementing that, coaching others, you saw this pathway to developing your business sergeant's field manual. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you move from EOS to say, you know what, there's another element to this that we are doing?
Yeah, so Gino Wickman, the creator and founder of EOS, wrote the foreword for the book, The Business Sergeant's Field Manual. And what he talks about in the foreword is all of our EOS implementers. And right now there's about 850 worldwide. I was in like the high 50s, low 60s back in early 2014. So the traction program has gained significant traction in the last decade. And it talks about each of our EOS implementers have a very unique life story, business story, and we all teach EOS the same way, purely right from the book. So my book was early first 3 or so years of me implementing EOS, me talking about the things that I loved from the military, from a team building, execution, and esprit de corps is what we call military culture. This is a great unit. I want to stay in this unit. I don't want to move on in 2 years. Ugh. Or, oh my God, where'd you get your orders to? Oh, you're going there? Oh, good luck. You know what I mean? Like really understanding there's really good things in the military that transfer over neatly to the civilian business world. There's also been quite a few things that I left right over in the military where it belongs because it's just not going to fly in the civilian business world. So I created a dozen or so complementary tools like decision-making matrix, a business operations order. So taking like an operations order from the military and translating that into like, all right, we're going to go do a mission in business. It follows the similar military, how we plan operations. And I'm sure you've heard and seen U.S. military is the greatest in the world and has been for some time. When we say we're going to go do something, that gets done. And the reason is we have military backwards planning. And then EOS, with all of its acronyms, at the end of the day, we set a 10-year target or a core target, 5 to 35 years, long range, North Star, big, hairy, audacious goal. And then every year we create a 3-year picture and then a 1-year plan. The 3-year picture is a dream. It's like, where do you want to be in 3 years? Once we have that context, the 1-year plan makes itself. What's the right trajectory for this business to be on to achieve that 3? And then every year we reset it. No need for detailed 2, 3, 4, 5-year business planning because business is dynamic. So once you understand the system and it's a cadence, and EOS is like the force, it surrounds us. It's your company, it's your issue, you're in charge. We really do empower the right person in the right seat and get out of their way, not micromanage them, have everything be a committee. It's not an effective way to scale a business. Now, if you work for the government or you're in academia, like some of these systems aren't exactly lean, mean, and fully optimized, right? So if you're working in that scenario, you can still adopt some of these structures within the limitations of your operating environment. So this is the entrepreneurial operating system. It's not designed for schools, nonprofits, or even lawyers per se, even though some law firms are very entrepreneurial and they look at it. Any team that adds up their scorecard like a golf team, that's not for them. Anyone who adds up their score like a baseball team or a basketball team or a football team, game on. The integrator is a term unique to EOS, is the chief operating officer of the president. It is someone who is exceptionally talented at execution. Their job is to lead, manage, and hold accountable the leadership team. So their job is to curate the department heads and keep them accountable and executing. And if someone's failing, it's up to them to coach them or replace them. And then the founder of the company is the visionary. These folks like myself were great at ideas, not as good as following up on all those ideas. Visionaries are usually coming from sales, marketing. They gave birth to the idea, shaking hands, kissing babies, raising money. That's what CEOs, visionaries do. And then the integrator, we treat this like a Batman and a Robin thing. A crime-fighting duo. We can crush way more crime together than we can on solo missions in Gotham. So that's a real big difference. And then we have an owner's box or a board, and they have like quarterly influence. And then when we put somebody in charge of a department, it's their call. You put them in that seat, it's their seat. Yeah, the integrator has editorial authority, but maybe 20%. The 80% of the writing comes from the department heads. And then their job is to curate a team of sergeants, as I like to call them, the mid-managers, who spend way more time with the troops than the officers do, the leadership team. And then we take the leadership team and the management team and we plug those cords in. And then we really empower those sergeants. Oftentimes when I start an engagement, the sergeants are glorified privates. First question I ask the leadership team, the officers, all right, explain how you share information at the company. Or if you're going to pivot, you're going to communicate. How do you do that? We just send out an all hands email and tell everybody. Okay, imagine your sergeant, your department heads, your directors are sitting in a meeting and something big gets cascaded down from the top. And the troops then go to the sergeant and say, what do you think about this? I don't know. I just heard. So you're disempowering them. So I coach them. Do you do that? Yeah, we do it just like that. I'm like, yeah, that's wrong. You should call the sergeants in a day before, the morning of, sometime ahead of the mass announcement to say, hey, heads up. This is the message that's going out. Here's the talk track. This is where we'd like you to be. Are we forgetting anything before we go do this? Help us check ourselves before I wreck ourselves. Let's get a little feedback. Let's fine tune. Let's carve an entire part of this because it's half baked out and it needs more thought. Because when the sergeants start to question the officers, they're like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, that's evident. Let's not do that until we're fully formed on that. And then when we tell everybody and they look to the sergeant, like, this is what we're going to do. I have a plan formulated. We're going to be fine. So I just give that scenario, and 8 out of 10 times, they're not treated any different, and they feel that. And a second thing for my mid-managers, all my sergeants on the call, I get you, right? That I'm the business sergeant. That's my personal branding, which allows me to, again, lean into the whole very direct structure first, let's go mentality. And really, they're not empowered. So we have this thing called LMA, lead, manage, and hold accountable. It's the first dot on the accountability chart. And an accountability chart's like an org chart, but on steroids. It says exactly what you own. If this is going good, high five for you. If this line item isn't going good, what are you going to do to fix it? One set of eyeballs, single source accountability turns out works. So our earlier statement, when we have numerous people accountable, we have nobody accountable because you have shared accountability, and that's not always the best way to get it done. So when we say your job is to lead, manage, and hold this team accountable, that also means they need to have 100% our confidence to hire, fire, reward, and recognize everyone on their team without a big conversation from above. How do you hold someone accountable to curate a team and execute if you haven't empowered them to do? It's impossible. And It's maddening if you're a middle manager and your officers are just asking for results, but they're not willing to invest in any of the ingredients to provide those on a consistent basis. I also know that employees rarely quit bad companies. They quit crappy bosses all the time. So I also need to make sure that my sergeants at my companies understand that they're servant leaders. They're not there because they're extra good looking or have just been here a longer time. If you're a leader because you want a corner office, a little more money, and a great parking spot, that would not qualify to be a leader. You generally get a high helping other people succeed and winning as a unit, and you love spreadsheets, HR conversations, and solving people issues. Those are the sergeants who enable their troops to have the tools they need, have the resources they need, get the training they need, stand up to management when they're pushing too hard or going too fast, and really advocate for the troops. That's what a great sergeant does in the military, and that's what a middle manager does on a team that works with me.
Chris, I'm curious about something because being in the seat I am on the academic side and having worked with students now for the better part of 20 years, one of the things that I often notice in younger students, and it could just be the fact that they have not yet been out in the world to be held to a level of accountability. But over time, I often I've seen more, I should say, where there's this resistance to take accountability, a resistance to take responsibility. And I read a lot of papers written on a lot of companies. And assignment might be develop a strategic plan. And the strategic plan is really very basic. It's not it doesn't, and I give people very vague instruction because I really want to see what they are going to develop. I don't want you to write a paper for me. I want you to tell me what you think, right? And I'm wondering, where you sit in organizations, because you're probably seeing people that I see a few years later. Now they've worked into a lower middle management role. Have you seen in your experience of working with people a reluctance to take accountability, to own decisions, to be the person who's responsible for things? And how do you, if you have experienced that, how do you get them to take that on a little bit more?
Again, my answer to all these questions is that optional? Because if it is optional to do it or not do it, then this issue has a space to live. The way I operate is this military task, condition, and standards. Everything in the military has those three things. It doesn't matter what, screwing in a screw with a screwdriver or launching weapons from a F-16 Fighting Falcon or something doesn't matter. So just to answer that question, accountability is a art form that is diminishing. The Gen Z is less accountable than Gen Y. Gen Y is less accountable than Gen X. Gen X is less accountable than the baby boomers. Baby boomers are less accountable than the greatest generation. So like this is a pattern that's been going on for a while. As we evolve, as we get into technology, we've lost our way in so many different ways. And you can look at the nation and the world at large right now and see it's fairly divided. There's a couple of different camps and they don't really talk to each other very well. And if you look at the data, the truth, accountability is rarely a part of what we see. So it's complex, and employees are citizens of the world. So it's impossible to have higher accountability at scale when the world is not leaning into that, because a large group maybe fights that more than the other group does. And it's a weird place when you have to provide an opportunity for both groups to employ. So see where I'm going? Like it's a sticky wicket. But my point is, as a privately held business, you can decide we're going to be fluffy and you can just live your truth and you can identify as being on track and you can just do your thing here. And there are cultures just like that.
Sure.
Not super profitable ones, but anyways, they're out there. Or you could say, hey, I totally get you. You're living your own truth in your time, and you can be fluid with your thoughts and your actions. But if you're going to work here, we actually really care about taking care of our clients. Like we're like a super accountable place. However, we pay 20, 30% more than anybody else. So I think if we throw the right carrots out there and we have wellness programs and wonderful benefits, because remember, we're a high performing company and we have the best of everything. And the way we afford the best of everything is by being accountable to each other, our stakeholders, our clients, our community. So the neat thing is there's still enough people that believe that. And there are like 7 billion people in the world. If you've got 50 or 100 or even 1,500 people at your company, I like your odds. But that does mean that we're going to have to be very straightforward. We're going to have to be very direct. We're going to start with our ads, our hiring process, and we're going to have to winnow out. Unfortunately, I estimate it somewhere around 70, 80% aren't wired for excellence, I think we'll say nicely, and 20 to 30% are. So I just think that's a systems thinking thing. And if you understand and accept that fact and you only market in your ads, your words, and in your process, you sort out those folks early on and you never meet them face to face, because usually when we're in a hiring scenario, we're making our decision in the first 5 to 10 minutes and then spending the rest of the interview congratulating ourselves on our initial assessment, or we're just being polite till we can get rid of them because we're not going to hire them. And that is where most people fail. I'm a science guy and an art guy when it comes to hiring. Back to GoExpand, I've included unlimited Big Five Ocean personality assessments. So there's many other tools. but this one's the brain of most of the tools. And because it's in fair use, their patent ran out a few years ago because it's such a foundational, powerful tool. We use AI to replicate it. And now we have a Big Five assessment called GoExpand Insights, and it's unlimited. As many as you want to use. Hey, they're not 50, 75, 100, $200 a piece, which is the barrier why we wouldn't use them for every applicant. But my teams and anybody using GoExpand has unlimited access to these. And they take the assessment and it gives them a personality profile. And we're only going to interview people that share the same wiring as the top third of every position. And there might be one or maybe two or three archetypes that fit for that position. The neat thing is somebody applies, they don't have the right wiring, but we have another position open, they have the perfect wiring for. So it's efficient in other ways. So my coaching is don't even meet the wrong person, meaning only interview people that have the correct wiring. If you do that, you will make 2 out of 3 hires will stick in 18 months, 24 months versus 1 out of 3. So doubling your hit rate lowers your turnover. Turnover is a hidden killer of profit, and it creates massive amounts of brain damage, which causes our unicorns to jump the fence and go elsewhere with less drama. So it's critical for your hiring and engagement to have a system.
So I love this because this segues into what I wanted to get to next, which is all about your platform and the tool that you're working with now on GoExpand. Because as we were setting up and you were giving me a little bit of what this tool is all about, really excited to hear a little bit more about this. And the fact that you have an assessment tool that kind of focuses on the attributes that you want as a hiring manager to get the people that you want to see. Give me a little bit more about this, because I will say this thing sounds pretty amazing.
It is, yeah. And it's simple. The technology itself is quite complex because we generate a performance, alignment, and an engagement score, like a number for all of our humans. And it sits on different places in the app, but not everyone can see across the aisle. It's permission-based. We don't want to start any problems.
Sure.
So junior people aren't looking at other junior people's position. Now we also, because we have that, so in the logic, performance is 4 things, right? It's 3 things, performance, which is the x-axis, left, and that is 50% your scorecard. The last 5 weeks plus a special emphasis on the last one. Are you hitting numbers? Another 25% with that is, are you getting your rocks done, your strategic initiatives? Are you getting 80% of your rocks 100% done? And then 15% task completion, your to-dos, the promises you make your teammates from these week-to-week meetings we call level 10 meetings, which is like a big-time meeting, get your helmet and pads on, and we're going to cancel other meetings because we're going to make big commitments and we're going to leave people alone so they can actually execute and not just go to constant meetings. So we get more done with fewer meetings, but they're pretty meaty meetings. And then lastly, 10% skill. You actually have to be forklift certified. You can't just jump in that sucker and start lifting things to the roof, or somebody's going to get hurt or going to break some stuff. So that's performance. So that's a lot, but it's that mix right there. And then we go to alignment on the y-axis, and that is 50% core values. Are you the right person, right? Are you living the core values as assessed by your leader? And then 25% performance reviews, your last 5 performance reviews with a special emphasis on the last one. And then the final 25% is your role alignment, your following process. The people in front of you and behind you in the workflow are happy with your product. Scale of 1 to 5 for each one of those role bullets. What is the end state? Are the clients happy? Are we doing it the way? Just 1 to 5 on each one of those bullet points. So so there are 4 for performance, and 3 for alignment. So those 7 data points with the X and the Y axis allow us to plot on a team dashboard. GoExpand has a dynamic team dashboard, and it's gamified, has 10 levels. You just acquired a company, it's a little beat up. You can relax it all the way down to level 1, and green is good, red is bad. If you have a person that is not fully aligned or not performing, now I know those are the 7 things you need to do. And if you're mindful of that, you can creep your way right into the green and stay. So if we have people that are failing, are we helping them? Are they moving towards the green we can give that a little space, a little grace. If they are in the exact same place next quarter, or they've regressed and they're further away from the green, it's probably a good time to liberate them to the marketplace, so we can open up that roster spot for someone from another organization who would probably drop here and be in the green quite quickly. Showing the breadcrumbs on the trail and giving that coaching and actually see it working or not working is a game changer. So a team dashboard, and then you can cycle through the different departments. And when you do that, the 3 rings of performance, alignment, engagement for the whole company, we can show the average, or we can show by department to assess the department heads and their management team. So it's just one of those things. If you're breaking promises, you're not getting your rocks done, your manager might not notice. GoExpand's going to notice. Now your manager has to walk over this information to not deal with it. So just taking all the subjectivity out of the great game of business and adding it with some objective things, that alone is the kind of hardest thing my clients struggle with, is the subjectivity inside of this. So now that we take that out, we just now took a program which is world-class and supercharged it with these tools. And then think about an AI agent not disturbing people. The dumb questions, there is no dumb question. You just ask away and you get the truth. If, as a company, if you're the HR person or the ops person or the integrator, you're the key master, the gatekeeper. You have an old process, it's time to update it. You pick the other one out of there and you delete it. You put the new one in there. The second that happens, that old answer is no longer available. So it's an instant way to stay up on the latest and greatest. You can put client likes, dislikes, brand voice, sales figures, anything you want your team to know in a safe, secure environment. And when someone asks it a question and the bot's, I don't know, I don't have anything in the database, there's a process just to send that to the department head of the whatever relevant to the germane to the question. And then that just put a one pager together and throw it in there, and that won't happen again. And then once everything is there, we just update as needed, and it greatly accelerates information, results.
Yeah, like the whole workflow. One of the things, wow, couple things to note here. One of the things I like about what you've explained is that not every company is big Fortune 500 money, and not every company has a dedicated like HRBP, human resource business partner, that partners with managers at different levels to develop HR plans for them and people plans for them. Not every company has the luxury of having that expanded HR department. And so this tool allows smaller companies with less HR resources to be calibrated like some of those bigger organizations are. So I think that is just fantastic. The other thing, though, is you talk about the ability for that dashboard, the AI system, to know things. And one of the things I often see is that we create all kinds of manuals and websites and intranet sites and all kinds of bits of information. And at the end of the day, people still go ask somebody who they think knows the answer because they don't want to go look it up. And this now is the tool where this is the thing that they can go ask. They don't have to go bother the person who they think has the answer because they don't want to go dig through the system archives to go try and find what they're looking for. I think that's amazing.
It's Gen Z friendly. Like I have 2 Gen Zs in my house, 21 and 18 boys, men now, excuse me. Still getting used to the fact they're not little guys anymore. They grow up so fast. I think we all know that. So thinking about this, really what I wanted to bring to the table, no matter if you scale it up, to keep your secret sauce intact. So I've always said for years, I want you to have a big company mind and a small company heart. And this platform allows you to execute and be aligned in really the way most of my clients use it, because we have a Sir Zapier Zap. So there's 5,000-7,000. It's a big number. We can port in whatever other industry-specific tool you need into GoExpand, and GoExpand is the tip of the spear. It's the dashboard. I literally stole the stack of the best clients I've ever worked with, and they all use a very similar set. So that was my observation. I have stolen their winning combination and just given it to you. These are the tools you need to be a world-class business. You don't have to use them all, but they're there for you.
It's like center cut bacon. It's all the good parts.
Yeah, exactly. This is a bone-in ribeye. There's only 2 of those per animal or whatever. Yeah. So exactly. So it's curated, not because I'm like, gee, I think this could be great. It's because I literally witnessed the best of the best use these and other people not using them fail. And I'd say, hey, I got somebody use it. You should try that. Then they would use that. And, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Basically, it's just a perfectly curated tool set. And you're probably using parts here and there, or you're using none of these, or you're using all of these things. There's a range, a spectrum of tools. But at the end of the day, like I was saying before, the parts of these apps, to spend 30, 40, 50 bucks a month for some app and only use 10% of it, it's just not a good ROI. Unless what that 10% does is so powerful and what you get eclipses that, then it's not such a problem. But really, it's about complexity. Having 6 or 7 logins is just more stuff to have to worry about. So if you have one login and we're using this as the dashboard, the tip of the spear, you're porting in things inside of our meetings, which have timers and keeps everybody connected and records it and gives you a powerful high quality summary. It automatically creates the to-dos. It's like full stack, like everything you need to run world-class meetings. You can pull in other tools. You can also embed tools that are like a HubSpot or a Microsoft. Anything with a web page can be brought in here. So if we're in a meeting, we're not doing tap dancing up at the top, bringing this in,
right,
sharing your new screen. You are in one application, going to the next thing, and what you wanted is ported right in there. So it's just convenient. It's well thought out. And if we're seeing a numbers off track, we can just right click that, make it an issue. And it just automatically goes to our issues list. So there's just little things that make it simple and in the moment to support you. Technology should help you go faster and do it better. It shouldn't be a burden. It shouldn't be slowing you down. So we only have the 20, 30% of those big apps because that's all that people found value from. But now that I have 4 or 5 people apps, the 30% that matters, and an incredibly powerful business operating system platform that isn't a static data silo, but a fully connected dynamic environment. When I update this, it updates it everywhere. If I complete this, it completes the next thing in the series. And we're talking like task management, Gantt charts, Kanban boards.
Man,
like all this stuff is in there to help you guys execute. And it's in one login for 20-ish bucks a month. So you can cancel like way more than that.
Now,
so we get into a savings, and it's simple because it's one login. You get everything in one place.
Out of curiosity, so is it 20 per month per user?
Yeah, it's like at low volume, we start at 20 users. It's a powerful platform. We have teams under 20. The minimum, I think, is 500 a month for the top one. And then the simple version, which is really stripped down, just the operating system tools, that starts at 14 bucks and bottoms out at 9. The top one, called the elite version, the most expensive it gets is $24.97, and the cheapest it gets is $17.97. So let's call that 25 to 18 bucks per person. But they'll also have to have an OpenAI workspace, but that's cheap. And then we tokenize. So maybe $2, $3, $4 with heavy use per employee. So instead of everyone getting a $20 chat login, we end up tokenizing it, which reduces the cost down like by 80% or so. It's crazy. Yeah. So we have the people tools, we have the operating system tools, and the operating system tools, real quick, are what we call Vision Traction Organizer, Vision Traction Organizer in EOS words. Other operating systems would use a different term, but since we're talking about EOS, let's keep it EOS centric. And the Vision Traction Organizer is 8 simple questions, like core values, core focus, core target, which is 10-year target, marketing strategy, 3-year picture, 1-year plan, quarterly rocks, and long-term issues list. So that's the 8 things, opt in or opt out. So everyone needs access to that. An accountability chart, which shows the organizational structure and who owns what. So we don't have to send an email to 10 people. We just say, oh, this person does it. 1 email, not disturbing people. Then we have the rocks, those strategic initiatives, that project management. Then we have a scorecard. your numbers, what's important, what are we measuring? And then we have a meeting pulse. And then we have this meeting management of this very cool level 10 meeting structure. And then you can modify that and customize that, change the timing and the structure and what you want to put in there. And then an AI agent makes everything searchable. No one's stealing ideas because we're like, whoa, this is a great idea. We'll just put the idea into the search and it'll show you all the times that thing has ever been discussed, including the very first time. So now we have attribution. We have the ability to reward and recognize people with high fives. We have feedback. That was great. That was less than great. We have these visualizations. We have the charts. We have the performance reviews. We have the assessments. We have custom forms where you can bring in information through QR codes or hot links or HTML code. It's really well thought out and it's really holistic. And the point is, you don't need 40 apps. You need this app and then fill in the blank with whatever this app won't do for you. So start with GoExpand and then fill the rest of the industry specific things in. And the whole goal is to reduce the amount of apps in the stack. So it can be simple and we can get ultra high engagement. People are in GoExpand all day, especially if they're remote. Even if they're not, this is how we communicate. This is how we get information. This is how we recognize each other. And this is how we know we're doing a great job, which is critical for employees to have very clear lines to what good looks like and what it doesn't.
Talking about all the tools, because Slack, Microsoft Teams, how does this not interfere with some of those other tools that companies might be using as the hub of communication?
Yeah, I think those apps are still quite usable because everyone has, you're a Teams or you're a Slack or you're everyone, that's a communication platform, just like email is. GoExpand doesn't replace Slack. It doesn't replace email. It is the command central of your position, of the company. It is like the single source of truth. It is North Star that we inclinate towards throughout the day. And it keeps all that stuff under one roof, just for simplification. But it doesn't do everything. It is like a pocket fisherman, the Mr. Popeil. There's quite a few. It's a Swiss Army knife. There's a toothpick, there's a saw, there's of course a knife, but you can only put so many blades on it, and then it's no longer a Swiss Army knife. So I think, maybe some of those tools, those features will be added in the future. At the same time, I also want to make sure that we're giving people freedom to use the apps you listed are massive.
Yeah.
Like millions of use those. So I also think at some point we need to stay in our lane as well. And I think the lane that I've created is a powerful curated set that is going to help accelerate your strategy, your execution, and your culture. But it doesn't do everything, nor should it.
So as I hear you explain, I think of like software and assessment tools come to mind. Things like Disc Profile, Myers-Briggs, like Taleo. All of these tools that are, as you mentioned, like Taleo does a little bit for the assessing your candidates and helping you with your annual review process and managing that piece of it. The other kind of personality profiler tools help you to understand the kind of workers that you have and what drives them and motivates them. And all of that is good stuff to know. So this is a good bolt-on and replacement for some of those other things.
It is. So it's an ocean assessment or a big five, which is the most popular assessment. So some of the ones you listed are based on the big five. So the technology in GoExpand is in many cases the technology for a bunch of other brands. Now, I'm going to tell you, there are some other tools like Culture Index or Predictive Index, and they're very powerful tools, but there's a learning curve. They're expensive. They're worth it, but it's, you know what I'm saying? What I'm providing is just do this and you'll be fine. If you want to get cute and do something else, go for it. You're welcome to upgrade. And those tools, or many of those tools I listed, we have an API for. So you can use other assessments as well. You don't have to use the insights. But what I'm saying is you have to use something. Please use this. And what most people find out that it's good 80, 90% of the time And it works because they're not being charged $100 or $200 every time.
Yeah.
So just giving it to people you've never met. So check this out. So you get your personality archetype, but you also get this long, I don't know, it's like 30 characters and it's like a nuclear launch code. And you give that to the candidate, you give instructions, give that to us. We plug it in. Oh, that's what they are. If you hire them, then we have a relationship guide. So you can go to GoExpand, you can go to an employee's dashboard, you can say view assessment. Oh, they're a strategic planner. Okay, great. Oh, I am a visionary. So then I say hit relationship guide. It knows what I am, it knows what they are. So before I go in for a review, it says, this is how Ben communicates. This is how you communicate. Here's some pros to this pairing of you two. Here's some cons. Here's some suggestions for your message to land right here with Ben. This is how Ben's going to hit it. So that is part of GoExpand, which is that's another level up just from who are you? So it's not so simple, but my point is if someone else is like a dyed-in-the-wool fan of something else, use that, knock yourself out. I'm not here to tell you one's better than the other. That's in the eye of the beholder. But everything inside of GoExpand is well thought out. It's dynamic. It works. It's very easy to understand. And the speed of development is really our great strength in the amount of time. Now, this is 5 or 6 years of this app in different iterations. And I found a big enterprise size platform and then just built the simple car parts of the operating system on a spaceship versus just having a car and trying to make the car go a little faster. I wanted a spaceship that could go to Mars. So like just the platform I had this built on, it wasn't, I didn't build this thing from scratch. Why would you? Why would I reinvent the wheel? I found a platform and then customized it. And that's how I was able to bring all this value in a year or so time because I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I wanted to take something, completely change out and improve. Over 1,500 line items were changed in the front end of GoExpand. So there's nothing in the market currently that does what it does. And for $25 a month or less, it's a tremendous value. And the idea is to get everyone at the company a login. Everyone needs performance reviews. Everyone needs access to your strategy. Everyone needs access to their numbers. Everyone needs communications and meetings and all that stuff. So the idea is if everyone uses the same tool and we're all super active in it all day, everybody knows what's going on. There's no guessing. You have the ability to, like I said, ask all the dumb questions you want with no judgment. The bot does not tell the boss all your dumb questions. That's not a searchable thing. So what we're really trying to do is spot holes in our game and plug them quickly, even if it's just a version 1.0. A version 1.0 that's 94% accurate is superior in every way, shape, and form to nothing at all, leaving it up to interpretation. And then that's usually where the costly mistakes, where the frustration comes from. People are doing their level best. We haven't empowered them with the right answer. So now they're guessing with your P&L. So I want to eliminate that. So again, there are much more sophisticated tools than GoExpand. What GoExpand is the powerful, simplified, connected, curated version of all those tools. But that's what this is.
It is like the best elements of a lot of things that I've come in contact with throughout my career. That is amazing. And it's a $300 a year investment per employee, basically, is what it comes down to. And for me, and having managed people and managed large teams in my past, that kind of investment will save you money.
The ROI is, if it's not 100x, we're doing it wrong. And I think it could be in the thousands of ROI if we really lean in and leverage it. And again, the companies might use 100% every tool. Most people, again, back to like, even if you use half of these tools, you're going to be connected and you're going to get an ROI.
Yeah, there really is. Man, Chris, that is, if for those who are paying attention, if you're managing teams, if you're dealing with the struggles that a lot of people do when it comes to communication and creating goals and objectives and holding people accountable and doing the review and just having that repository. I love the fact that you've got this kind of an AI chatbot, if you will, that is a repository of information that people can use to find answers for things. even if you're a small business, and I love the fact that you talked about the pricing of it, because I think for small business, a lot of times it's like, how do we afford this when we can't make the big investment in those tools? Man, this is a really good tool. And again, coming from my experience of working with big Fortune 500 companies, right? This puts some of the power that those companies have from their HR departments into your hands. So if you're running a smaller shop, $300 a year is going to save you money. I'm not even, Chris, I haven't even used it. You know, this is the first time we've met. I'm just hearing this and I'm making the connection with the fact that, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. It really does.
Yeah, we're very excited. We just launched within the last couple of 60 days or so, and the response has just been phenomenal. We're getting great feedback. It's software. Hey, this is what's going on with this, but the speed of our development and, hey, can it do this? We had some meetings a couple weeks ago with a large organization, and they're like, what about this? And what about that? So let me look at that. Let me see what that's going to take. Like, six days later, 5 days later, yeah, that functionality, we added that.
You're crowdsourcing and improvements as you go along.
Yeah, no, we are. Like AI assisted coding, this is made in the US of A, Dallas, Texas. We don't use offshore, nearshore developers. This is all local stuff. And we're very excited. We don't have a massive team. We have a team of A players that run circles around larger teams with C players. So like that's kind of what we practice what we preach. I'm not even allowed to say what's coming in the future other than some strategic things will leak out because we've got some really big other functionality coming and we're not going to charge any more for it. So getting involved means that you're going to be in a place where whatever the next greatest thing, we're on top of it. We're a quarter or two ahead of most people, and our ability to develop and test and push to production is a advantage for us. And the fact that we've priced this in a place where anyone can afford it is why it's being adopted at such a rapid pace. So we're thrilled, and we're not satisfied, and we are definitely crowdsourcing improvements in the user experience or future features.
Man, that is very cool. I have to say, I'm excited to see this, and I can tell you, just in my own experience working with other companies and people I know, I am definitely going to take a very hard look at this. I as we went through this, and you were giving me, just some examples of what it does, and I'm like, oh my God, I was just talking to somebody who had this problem. Like literally, people are coming to mind. I'm like, oh, you got to check this thing out. And I love the price point, by the way, too. I think that's very helpful.
One thing to mention is we have a sandbox environment. So you can just go to GoExpand.com. It's right on the front page above the folder right there. It's like the third thing down. And you can log in and get free sandbox access. You can go play around in this fictitious company called Figment. And it's like a sub 20-person company, but it tells the story. You just go in there, play around. Like it resets every 3 or 4 hours, so you can't break it. It doesn't have all the functionality of the actual web app, right? So the microphones, some of the stuff, because it's just a static web page, but it's a way for people to go in and get a demo that actually means something. And then once you've gone to the sandbox and you're ready to talk to myself or one of my staff, we'll go ahead and give you a personal demo. And then if you're in another platform, we're happy to migrate you to ours free of charge. So we'll get you set up. There's a ton of videos and guides, and quite frankly, a dog with a note pinned to its collar could figure this out. We've made the onboarding very simple, but we're also there to support people because we know they're busy and they just want to get on the platform, and we're happy to assist with that.
Awesome. Chris, man, such great information. Let's help people find you, get in contact with you. And it sounds like you're invested in a few things, but where do people go? They need EOS. They want to find your book. They want to get involved in GoExpand.
Yeah, 3 different web addresses. The first one is eosworldwide.com that you just want to find out about EOS. It's eosworldwide/Chris Hallberg. But if you just put Chris Hallberg EOS in the Google, my EOS page will pop right up. Second one is my Business Sergeant. That's my one-on-one CEO coaching. I have an online leadership academy. So if people want to get the mindset of a business sergeant, I have a 5.5-hour course. It's awesome. And that's at bizsgt.com, or you can just type in Business Sergeant and it'll come right up. And then lastly is GoExpand. And my email address there is chris@goexpand.com. And then the fourth thing to throw that out there is LinkedIn. I'd like a LinkedIn connection from all the listeners. I'm always posting content. I'm going to post this interview there. And if you're into this kind of stuff, you enjoyed this, you'll be able to find more conversations on my LinkedIn page.
Awesome. Chris, I have to say it really is a pleasure to get to know you, to get to know all the stuff that you're doing. Very cool, dynamic stuff. I greatly appreciate you taking some time out of your day. No, we went a little bit over, but I love talking to you.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to nerd out with me. Like this, there's just the opportunity to feel your excitement's kind of giving me some more energy here. So you've got me jacked up. I'm ready to go GoExpand.com and get signed up myself here right now.
It comes from a place, believe me, of working with teams, of managing. I'm a little bit of a tech nerd myself. I do a lot of stuff with analytics and databases. So, you just hit on so many of my buttons there, and I was like, oh man, the things you could do. But thank you so much again. Listeners, everybody out there, thank you guys very much for checking out DissedMedia, A Startup Story. Thank you for paying attention to us. And, if you like what you hear, share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, give us a like, give us a rating. Always helps with the numbers, always makes the algorithm more attentive to what we're doing here. So thank you all for checking out this episode. We hope to see you back next time, and have a good one. Thanks for listening to DissedMedia, A Startup Story. This podcast was produced and edited by Ben Olmos and is a production of DissedMedia Corporation. If you're interested in learning more about anything you heard on this episode, please reach out to us at podcast@DissedMedia.com. You can also get more information about this and other episodes, or information about our guests, by checking out dailypitch.news, our business and insights publication focused on helping managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do.